recording. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our fourth and final week of the procurement sprint. I hope you have found it very informative and useful so far. We're going to go over a few things today, including some SBIR, STTR overview, that is a Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Grant, and then look at some writing practices. And then we do have a program that keeps you connected to Arrowhead Center, providing an overview of what we call Arrowhead Center Ventures. So that will come in the second half, but the first half, we have very exciting presentation in store for you. I'd like to briefly introduce Monica Jojola. She is the president of Montech Inc. She will provide her background and introduce her colleague. So with that, I'd like to invite Monica to start. So I will stop sharing my screen and let Tyler share his, giving you some co-host capabilities there. Tyler.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Kathy, thank you so much for the invitation. Of course, that's the most important thing I need to certainly stress to all our team members online this morning is an invitation like this means the world to us because we get to brand the company even more. So who knows, my sharing the information this morning of Montech, by the way, and Kathy, no big deal. It's Montech, M-O-N, like my name, Monica, and then tech, the technology side. So first and foremost, Kathy, thank you. And of course, the Arrowhead Center for the invitation this morning. With me is Tyler. You might see Tyler there with that snazzy turquoise blue polo on. He'll be running my slides for me this morning. And Tyler is very knowledgeable when it comes to business development efforts. He is my happy hunting individual in my office. And I'm going to tell you about that in a few moments as we go through my slide deck. Excuse my voice this morning. So if I go to my coffee or water, please excuse me for that. Let's just go ahead and get started with Montech Incorporated, and I'll share who we are and then share some really important key takeaways. And had I known some of this information before I actually started running with my company, it really would have taken us faster, further, early on in the stage of our company. So I feel that this is really important for me to share these notes with you this morning. Let's go on to the next slide here. Tyler? Okay. Please let me know if I'm going too fast or you can't hear me or you missed anything. I don't mind a question in between. Okay, let me just check that chat. I'm not able to record this meeting because local rule. Okay, that's Kathy. Damien's notes. Okay, again, I'm Monica Jojola. I'm the president and owner of Montech Incorporated. And what I do want to share with you is that our company is recognized as an American Indian-owned company. So we're headquartered here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My folks are from Isleta Pueblo. I'm not sure where Lava is from, where Carrie is from, Wesley, where you all are from. I'm assuming you're in southern New Mexico this morning, correct? Can we go around? There's not too many of us around the table this morning. Wesley, where are you from?
I'm in the North Valley here in Albuquerque.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And Lava?
I'm in Albuquerque.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Thank you, Lava. Carrie, where are you from?
Santa Fe.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And of course, I met Kathy during another WE event in Albuquerque, and I see Damien. I don't know where Damien's from, but I'm assuming that everyone's from Albuquerque or either Las Cruces area. With that being said, let's go ahead and when I mentioned the American Indian Corporation, my folks are from Isleta Pueblo. So these little nuggets here that I want to share with you is, by a show of hands, how many of you know SAM.gov? Okay, so SAM.gov, because I'm a federal contractor and we deal with federal contracts across the country, these little pieces here are in my profile on SAM.gov. So certainly put down SAM.gov because if you plan to work with the United States government anywhere, whether you're in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Las Cruces, Atlanta, DC, Chicago, and you're planning to work for the federal government, you got to have these social economic indicators on your SAM profile. So I'm sure that maybe perhaps Kathy talked to you about like, hey folks, make sure you're registered on SAM.gov. And it's true. It's absolutely true. Here's what my profile shows for Montech Incorporated. We're SBA 8A certified. That's another piece that we're going to talk about in a few moments. Okay. But we're also noted as an American Indian owned corporation, women owned.
Monica, I think you went on mute. I'm not sure why. There you
Hello,
go.
Damien. Okay. Can you all hear me? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yes,
Cool.
we can.
Okay, thank you. That's interesting. So going back to the SAM profile, so we have ourselves recognized as an SBA 8A, an American Indian-owned corporation, a woman-owned small business. We mention all our security clearances, and we're a top secret cleared company. We carry all our clearances in our back pocket, low overhead, exceptionally strong past performance, financially strong, and the leadership, myself, for an example, so important for this. And going back to the branding piece we were talking about earlier, is that, I serve as a trustee for the University of New Mexico. I'm a board member on the Indian Public Culture Center and the Marketing Corporation. And I'm also a member of the board of directors for West. Have you all heard of West? Okay, so West, good. Okay, I see Wesley and I see Lava kind of shaking her head. So, West is another one of those incubators that helps support women of color, women in general. Wesley, you're not excluded from that. I have seen men who have applied into the West programs to receive support. So these are the type of boards and commissions that I serve on right now. But this is our background. This is kind of who Montech is. But let's go into the next slide and you'll see why we're identified. So for an example, when we were talking branding and the major accolades of our company, so for an example, for 6 consecutive years, our company has been recognized as a fastest growing company in New Mexico. So, and that's based on revenue. It's not based on the number of people, because if I have an admin person at 50K and I've got a mod sim person at 150K, I mean, clearly there's you can tell just based on the skill set, the difference in our personnel across the country. But Family Friendly Business Award, I'm going to go into that in a few more slides as we start talking about this. Our company, we tend to hire quite a few of the veterans in New Mexico, because clearly I'm going to share our client list in a few moments, but the government does truly, especially if I'm doing any work with the United States Air Force or the United States Army or any of these DoD customers of ours, they do like to see their vendors or industry, Montech, hiring a lot of veterans or people active in the reservist or the National Guards. So recently we had been awarded, someone nominated us. In fact, I know exactly who within our corporation. One of our employees went off, and you all remember all the turmoil during COVID. And obviously, the National Guards and the reservists were called in for service, and one of our employees had to, certainly leave for about 75 days. My job is to secure his job. And so when he went off and did his duty for our state during COVID times, I mean, we held on to his job. We communicated daily with our customer to ensure that his job was not at jeopardy, all of that good stuff. And he nominated us the Secretary of Defense in Washington, and we received the Patriotic Award because he was one of many that was certainly in jeopardy of their job during COVID. And for heaven's sake, they were in the front line. But we have been recognized by SBA as a Small Business Contractor of the Year, USDA, a multitude of accolades for our company. Next slide, Tyler, please. Okay, so when I mention, is this on your radar? And if you could, Kathy has her hand up. Yes, ma'am.
I was just doing a little virtual applause because of all of those accolades. So thank you, Monica. I just wanted to show my support there.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you, Kathy. When I mentioned earlier, and I was talking about our company and branding our company and who we are, I do want to share, and you all can, Wesley, Lava, you all put your hands up and tell me, which stage are you in? Does any of this on this slide resonate? Like, oh my God, I don't even have this set up for my company yet, or I'm not even thinking there yet. I'm in the infancy stage and this is not even on my radar. By a show of hands, why don't you tell me? And I see a couple of people who are, I don't see their pictures, but if you can with electronically show your image, please. Lava, Wes, where are we on this? Carrie? Okay, I see Carrie. Okay, so Carrie, are you telling me that perhaps you have this within your company right now, or you're hoping you're in the infancy stage, ma'am?
I'm still in the infancy stage, haven't yet got to this point.
Oh, okay, very good. So one thing I do want to share with all team members online this morning is I was exactly like Carrie was. So I started my business. Do you remember in the 2008, 2009 frame, the United States was running through a double dip recession? You know, the mortgages, the real estate were upside down. The country was just absolutely upside down when it came to their home mortgages, etc. Well, every decade I try to propose a goal for myself. And my goal actually was in 2010 to actually start my company. But the country was just like, you know, it was a mess. It was absolutely a mess. But let me tell you what the federal government was doing back then. They were rolling out a women-owned small business in the federal sector. And that's a set aside. So when the government puts out all these requirements throughout the year, in fact, today, if you search sam.gov for opportunities, there's probably about 300 opportunities already posted between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. East Coast time. And then we wrap up the day, and the federal government is already going to post perhaps 2,000 opportunities for today alone. There's an average between 2,000 and 2,500 opportunities each and every day that the federal government across the country is posting. So with these, going back to Carrie, and why is this important to have on your radar? Carrie, honestly, when I started my company, it was a singleton. It was me. I had an extra bedroom in my office. It was 2010. I took the leap of faith in 2011 to start the company. And it was Carrie, like Monica, one room in my house, and I utilize that as my office. So essentially, if you've got a cell phone, a laptop, and you're skillful enough to send out those emails, introduce yourself to others, attend events, like for an example, this West event, good for you for investing in yourself, being invited by Kathy Foster to join this program, because this is what it takes, is for smart people to go out and say, heck yeah, I gave myself a goal and I'm going to start that. And Carrie, you and I are absolutely the same. So little traction, little things happen like that. But these are pieces that we have placed in our company as we started evolving with from one person to 5 people to 10 people to a couple of dozen people to now a nationwide footprint with, you know, over 100 employees nationwide. And it really did start that way. So Wesley, Lava, Damien, Ziani, Carrie, I do want to tell you, it absolutely was a singleton on a April 2011 date where I said, okay, today's the date. And I left a corporate company after 14 years, and I had learned federal contracting for about a decade. Exactly what Tyler's doing right now with my company, I kind of was like the Tyler for another company. And I'll share the company I worked with. I actually worked with the Chickasaw Nation Industries out of Oklahoma, and they had a nationwide footprint in federal government contracting. And when they dealt with federal government contracting, they were dealing at a multitude of opportunities that were, for heaven's sake, it was probably perhaps one single award could be about $200 million. So when I started a company back in 2011, a $200 million effort, and having that line of experience didn't scare me to go off and start a company on my own, because you kind of have an idea. And what I did learn about this, Lava, Wesley, Carrie, others online, is this. When I worked with that company for 14 years, I saw other small businesses coming into our office wanting to partner with us. So reach out to others that you perhaps have an interest in partnering with, or you say like, oh my God, that company is set up exactly the way I would like to be. I need to schedule a coffee meeting with them. I want to see if perhaps there's a way for us to team or partner with them. Any of those type of things. And good companies will accept your invitation. Good people will accept your invitation, and they will absolutely entertain your email, the coffee invite, the meeting request. And we've got all the technology in our right hand now to schedule a Zoom meeting with you tomorrow morning. So don't be afraid about sending those emails out to your colleagues or people that you would like to be like as far as a business is concerned. These are really important to think about. So Lava, if you're performing as one person, you should still take care of yourself. Carrie, if you're performing as one person, these are pieces such as healthcare, paid time off, incentive awards, and retirement. A one-person man shop can still be covered under many of these. Many of these brokers in Albuquerque will say, of course you're entitled to health insurance. Let's sit down and talk with you. It's okay that you only have two people, yourself and your senior consultant. They will absolutely talk with you because these are important pieces to have in order for you to grow. Because no one wants to go start a company and you've got no benefits at hand or nothing to really start a colleague, even if they're a junior analyst. Someone wants something. I know you're going to pay an hourly. I know perhaps you're going to, but these are good pieces to think about. And brokers will absolutely take your meeting request. That symbol in the center, which is the family-friendly business, you see the hands kind of connected there. Each year, this is held together with the Family-Friendly New Mexico organization out of Santa Fe. They award companies for having all these pieces in place for their employees nationwide. They did a study, and you know this. If you were out looking for a job tomorrow morning and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, I'm a technical writer and my company's going to be built on consulting for technical writing, email blasts, news media, social media. I mean, all of these, I don't know what your companies are, but the point I'm trying to make is that all of those components, when you start off alone, these pieces the brokers are willing to go ahead and help you with. But that family-friendly New Mexico means that companies who have reached the gold seal means that they have all these pieces in place to take care of their employees, even if you're two people or one. Next slide, Tyler. Here's our nationwide footprint. Montec clearly is headquartered here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Montec, as you see our logo on the far left corner, you're more than welcome to Google montec-inc.com or Montec Inc. For Albuquerque. You're more than welcome to Google my name, Monica Hohola, because the news feed is just many. And we stretch so far across the country so quickly, so fast, that one thing I do want to share with team members online this morning is that don't be in such a hurry. So I started the company back in 2011, but I would honestly say for the first 5 years, we were really posturing our foundation extremely well. So you put your health insurances in place, you put all your insurances in place to take care of your company, even if you're one. That's like a general business insurance. You put, you've got your computer, you've got a mini office in your home, you've got your cell phone, you put the foundation down solid. And you might even have standard operating procedures regarding business development. So with that, we've been fortunate to grow our footprint across the country. I can tell you with 2 contracts that we have with the United States Department of Energy right now, it gives us pretty much every single state. But I didn't want to go ahead and put this according to where our people aren't sitting. So any brown shaded areas that you see, this is where full-time employees sit in the dozens. So these are where we've got 30 people up in Colorado. We've got 10 people in Arizona. We've got 5 people in California, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Washington. I mean, our people are scattered all over the country, but these are full-time people that are employed by Montec Incorporated. Next slide, Tyler. So here's a great snapshot of who Montec is. I do want to share with you around the services circle is our core competencies. And maybe this is something that you have talked with regarding with Kathy and know what your line of business is. When I left my company and after I had worked with them for 14 years, I don't want to put my family in harm's way, and I know you all don't either. But when you leave a corporate position and you're depending on a biweekly payroll, it's pretty darn scary to leave that secure environment and go off and start your own. But you've got to have faith and dedication in yourself to say, like, I'm not leaving my job to fail. I'm leaving my job to win. And so know your lane. If you're a bakery company and you start performing, someone says, hey, you know what? We need some printing services. And you're a bakery company, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make, they don't even align with one another. So if you're a Lava, let me just kind of utilize you as an example. What type of service do you have or product, Lava?
I have a film production company.
Excellent, excellent. So with this in mind, Lava, clearly if someone came to you and said, man, I really like that. Can you do some writing for us, a manuscript for us for an upcoming, and for an upcoming episode that we have for Breaking Bad? I'm just making stuff up at this point. And I would kind of think like Lava would be shaking her head and scratching her head thinking, that's not who I am. And so, Tyler on my team, we've got folks up and down my hall here. We absolutely think the same thing. And I just had this discussion yesterday when I was talking with a partner from the East Coast is once Los Alamos National Labs reached out to us and was asking for custodial services. Well, look at my icons there. Do you see anything there that says custodial services? We do transition, technical, admin, instructional design and training, security and facilitation. There is nothing on there that we do custodial services. So once you take something, you don't want to be branded for a type of work or a competency that you're not doing. So stay in your lane and master it. I mean, you guys are skillful already. Carrie, what type of work are you thinking of?
I do legal work with Native American entrepreneurs and tribes.
Okay, excellent. I like that. Are you a consultant?
No, I'm a lawyer and I do mostly trademark and copyright for Native entrepreneurs or tribes.
Okay, so then your line of business is continuing with that type of work for the tribes?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Wesley, I can see your face. What type of work are you in, sir?
I'm bringing a new product to market,
Okay, excellent.
manufacturing.
Okay, very good. So, Wesley, I think, and of course, Lava and Carrie, you would agree, you all know your line of work and you know what you want to specialize in. And it wouldn't surprise me right now for this Thursday morning that you probably have seen a couple of, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a 10-man shop, or whether it's a large corporation, you have seen those that you say, man, they do it so well. How in the world are they doing that so darn quick? How do they get that contract? Or what are they doing that I'm not hearing about it? How did they get that? We probably want, and I wondered about that myself. But I'm going to tell you, when we play in our swim lane, which is around that services bubble in the center of this screen, and we play it extremely well, we market that well, we brand that well. Tyler is being part of my BD team. Every single day is BD. It's business development. You never let that go. If you're a one-man team and you actually did this, and I did this for myself, every day I would track as a one-man individual with my company, Montech. I would jot down my time throughout the day. So, was it 2 hours of cold calls, 2 hours of meetings online, 2 hours of 1 hour lunch, 3 hours of writing a proposal, 1 hour of going to a networking event? By the end of the day, you're surprised at how much you're doing business development. You cannot win if you're not proposing and going out there and meeting people. So Tyler, this is really interesting because we wrapped up the day last night at 5 o'clock here at my office, but the day didn't end. It was like picking up my bag and picking up my purse, and I was heading downtown to go meet with people at West. They had a briefing with Sam Donaldson last night at West, and business continued because all the smart people and all the leaders of Albuquerque are sitting around want to hear about ABC Sam Donaldson and how he started his career. But you're never too old to learn. We're never too young not to think that we're not capable of earning a seat at the table, but play in your swim lane and master the heck out of those. But if you're not doing this already, and especially as a CEO and the president, we don't tend to track our hours throughout the day, but I purposely track my calendar every single day. And I can tell that more than 50% of my day is spent on BD. Next slide, Tyler. These are the important nuggets that I want to share with you all. How much time do I have, Tyler? You're gonna.
You have about 7 minutes until Q&A.
Okay, very good. So this is what I want to share with everyone. The good people like Kathy Foster from New Mexico State, the good people from the Small Business Development Centers, SBA, the Apex programs, all of these that we have on this particular slide. Lava, Carrie, I did not pay for one single resource. When I started my company, and believe me, I came from a corporate company that had a 6-figure income. But when I left that company, you're still a woman, you're still female. I mean, you're female, you're a minority, you're a person of color. And guess what? These nationwide programs all involve, and Wesley, you're not excluded. These are for you as well, sir. Is that, ma'am, like Carrie and Lava, is that these are resources out there. Don't pay for a consultant who's going to charge you $5,000 to go off and write your capability statement. Don't pay for someone to go off and do your logo. Don't pay for someone to go off and do your financial statements. These are all the resources. If you're in the infancy stage, whether you're 1, 5, 10, or 100, these are resources out there in the Albuquerque, Las Cruces, Santa Fe market that will help everyone. So we've got SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. Of course, we know the Apex now. They were, formerly known as PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. You got SBA, you got West. We're SBA 80 certified, which is another nice certification you can get, but it's, I can tell you if you're thinking of the federal market or any of those federal proposals, it's a really good thing to have in your back pocket. If you go to sba.gov and you search 8A certification, the checklist might be this long, but I'm going to tell you, it's not anything that you smart people online today can't do. You absolutely can do it. So following up with this particular presentation that we have, if you, Lava, you say is there any value? Absolutely, yes. If you become certified in the 8A program and you're thinking, your industry might be more commercial, the federal government buys video activity. They build videos all the time for the United States military. Every single day, it's amazing what they buy. So if you are wondering, I wonder if that's, for me, because my industry is such and such. Wesley, you might be thinking the same thing. Please do not pay for a resource. You've got great people like Kathy and these particular organizations that will help you. They'll take your meeting any day. Next slide, Tyler. Here's Sam. I mentioned sam.gov. Please put this on your radar. Please. You see the little bubbles on the far right? It says acquisition method, core capability client. So now I am Lava, and I know my line of work. Lava, this is how we win work, and I want to share something with you. If it's a core capability, something that I know extremely well, it happens to be a client that I have done work with before, and it's an acquisition method. I'm going to go to Wesley in 1 second. And then it happens to be an acquisition method. Let's say the federal government says, I'm putting this aside as a woman-owned small business. Well, I'm a woman-owned small business. At this point, I have hit 3 of 3. We're going for it. So when I mean we're going for it, we're writing proposals. We're writing proposals for that. If I'm hitting 2 of 3, I'm pondering. My probability of win is not going to be as high. But I'm going to tell you, this is a proven method. If it is a client And I'm going to just pick Air Force. Don't stovepipe yourself just to Air Force. If you do it for Air Force, the Army's going to say, hey, I trust this company because they've done it for Air Force for 10 years. They've done it for Air Force for 5 years. So, think DOD. If it's a core capability, I do videography. I do, if it's something you have mastered, it's your area carry. You say, I do all the bonding. I do their manuscripts. I do their grant writing. I do their consulting. You know your lane. That's a core capability of yours. The acquisition method is, hey, you know what? They direct and they sole source those to me because I'm a woman-owned small business and they just go directly to me. And actually, I've been doing this for the Navajo Nation, but now the Pueblos are looking for this type of support. At that point, you're hitting 3 of 3. This is a proven track record. We play by this all the time. So take a look at this on the far right with my bubbles. I'm going to get to your question 1 second. Wesley, identify the request or proposal you wish to pursue. We call this happy hunting. This is every day, everyone. I just want to share that. You should dedicate your schedule in that 8-hour, 10-hour workday to where you're making those calls and you're saying, hey, John, I just noticed you guys were in the paper last week. Congratulations. You know how many times I get those type of emails from people, and when they're commending me and commending my team, of course I'm going to go off and have coffee with them. That's wonderful. Like, thank you for that accolade, or thank you for that email. That means a lot to us. How can I help you? Type of thing. Evaluate the RFP. You make a bid, no bid decision. Again, our bid decision is going to be based on 3 of 3. We hit those, we're playing. Pursuit time. If it's due tomorrow or it's due next week, chances are Tyler and team are not writing it. I got to get HR involved because there's a chance that they're probably going to ask for a key resume or a key personnel. I can't do that without my HR team. So give yourself, if it's 30 days out, wonderful. If it's 20 days out, it's doable. But if you're thinking it's going to be by next week, you can't hand in a quality document. And Tyler knows this best. There's been times to where something has come across my desk and it's beautiful, but the deadline is 5 days away. We're not responding because if I hand in a bad document, we're throwing our brand in a really bad position. And we have killed stuff. And I have told Tyler, like, I killed that one last night. I read, we're not there. I mean, our proposal is not quite there. I know it's going out on Friday and it's Wednesday. I'm afraid and I've already dedicated resources to it. And, I'm so sorry, but we're not going to submit to the government. So I will make these slides available to Kathy so you guys can continue to read them. And I'm not going to run through them as quickly. Next slide, Tyler. So, obviously going through the traditional evaluation criteria when you're proposing to the government, there's always a technical solution. There's your experience and a transition. What I do want to share is that the technical, you all know this because Lava, Carrie, and Wesley. Carrie sounds like she's got some really good work with some of the tribal nations and the Pueblo nations here in New Mexico. Well, clearly she knows that she's going to put something on, whether it's a 2-page or a 5-page or a 10-page document. When we submit back to our Navajo Nation client, what is our technical solution? What are we proposing? What are we asking to do? What do we say we're going to do? Along with that, I'm going to have myself and an associate work with me on this particular key personnel or additional resources. Experience. This is the important one. I know that each and every one of you, including Tyler, is experienced in an area. Don't think that, like, I haven't even earned one contract yet. Let's just say that's not true. You all have a wealth of experience in your back pocket. You put that down on paper because your customer, your future partner, is going to want to see, well, where has Carrie done this work at? And then she writes down a half a page or a 1-page. Here's a list of my clients. I've done this for the Navajo Nation, the Hickory Apache tribe, the Pueblo of Isleta, the Pueblo of Acoma, the Pueblo of, those type, they're going to appreciate that. So they know they're not client number one. And not to mention, you've got a law degree in your back pocket. That's worth something. So please put down your experience and your transition plan. The transition is when you've got a multitude of many people. Wesley, let me go back to you, sir, because you had your hand up. Were any of those questions pertaining to either of those two slides, sir?
On your previous slide for resources, you had left Arrowhead off of there and the New Mexico Small Business Development Program. So that was my point.
Oh, okay, perfect. Of course. You all have Arrowhead on there. I can't name drop Kathy Foster more times than these are people willing to help you all. Absolutely. You know, I remember this during the early stages, getting emails from people. They have seen your registration, whether it's through the Public Regulation Commission or whether it's advertised through the paper that you started an LLC or a corporation. When that happens, people are out there looking for new beginners, and they're going to charge $5,000 for setting up your incorporation or $5,000 for setting up your. Don't do that. Those are all wonderful resources. Very good point, Wesley. Go back, Tyler. Let's go on. Okay, this is really important. So now Carrie has just earned a new effort with Navajo Nation. They want a 12-month study on the Navajo Housing Authority and the grants that have come in from the United States government. They want a solution. They want Carrie to brief the tribal members from chapter Tohajale, and they want a end paper. They want a report at the very end for the 6-month study, and then the report is due on the 7th month, something like that. So Carrie says, oh my God, that's a lot of heavy lifting, but it's a beautiful contract. They're willing to pay $250,000. Let's just say, Carrie, at that point, you say like, oh my gosh, but I've got to take care of Zuni Pueblo. I've got to Slaughter Pueblo, and I've got to be up in Santa Fe for the Public Regulation Commission. So now we're stretched thin. I know exactly how it feels to be a singleton out there trying to do all these and try to grow your business at the same time. So when you're choosing the right teammate, please always remember that you've got to be very selective in your teaming partners. So I'm going to go directly to the next slide, which is the most important slide. Tyler, this is what we do. And again, these are golden nuggets that I want to give to you all, because these are really important to consider at the very early stages, or even a 5-man shop or 100, is that you've got to start with a non-disclosure agreement. They're hiring Carrie and her company because Carrie has something that she has sold, they have bought, and now they're willing to pay. So with that, and she says, I can't do it alone, so I'm going to bring in an associate with me. Ensure that you've got that non-disclosure agreement in place. The teaming agreement in place is also done before the actual award. And then now Carrie, that little mark of the subcontract agreement, Carrie now has a contract by the Navajo Nation. She's got that contract in her hand. And now she sees, oh my God, they're going to pay $250,000 for that 6-month study. It's now time for a subcontract agreement. And Carrie knows this best. I have learned that if you have these in the right stages, like, hey, listen, Lava is like wanting to talk to a partner here in Albuquerque and says, I've got this great opportunity, but I want to meet with you for coffee. Can I send over a non-disclosure agreement? Absolutely, yes. Send it over and I'll get that signed and I'll return it back to you. That's where you're kind of opening up your kimono, saying I'm willing to go and share what opportunity I have on my desk. And then when it's like, oh my God, I'm on board, I want to do this with you, then it's like, great, I'm going to go ahead and draft a teaming agreement. All of these are available through SBA, the Arrowhead Center, SBDCs, any of these. Even if it's a template to just begin with, the NDA, ours is probably no more than 4 pages. The teaming agreement is a little bit lengthier. I think we run between 10 and 12 pages. Within that is the scope of work and what we're willing to pay our consultants or our partners or our colleagues on a particular opportunity. The subcontractor agreement absolutely defines the scope of work, provided by the paying customer, what we're going to pay our partner or our subcontractor, and perhaps the period of performance, how long this is going to take. But please have these in place so that way you know you're not jeopardizing your team and your partnership, your friendship, but you've got this all down professionally and in line. Next slide, Tyler. That's us here in Albuquerque. Again, Carrie, you know, Lava, Wesley, It was a one-man shop. Now it's clearly over 100. We'll approach probably 150 by the summer. And these are people's livelihoods I have in my hand every single day. I start my morning off and the East Coast is already online. They're starting when it's 6 a.m. They're already operating in their seats, whether they're in DC or Chicago. They're already sending emails and there's actions already being taken. And then it just goes on throughout the day. And I'm still online probably about till 6 or so, because I've got people on the Pacific Coast and they're still online, and contracting officers are still sending emails. So, as a CEO, you hold the most important seat, and that's taking care of your people, because without them, there is no way all those people on that slide could have happened, and all these new contracts and the livelihood of all these individuals is my responsibility. So you got to take care of your people. I think that's it. I'm going to open up the floor to questions, Kathy, or any comments. Okay.
Carrie, did you want to take yourself off mic? I know you had a question in chat, and it's a fantastic question.
So when you were talking about like making a decision to apply for an application, I'm wondering what happens if you've never applied before. So obviously you probably haven't serviced that client before. What do you do in that case? Like, how does that change your evaluation of whether to apply or not?
So that's a really good question, Gary. So remember, I was telling you the first 5 years of my company, it was setting down the foundation extremely well. So I'm going to tell you something that is really important. When I left my corporate job, I was thankful that I had a nice little nest egg, and it was probably a little bit under $50,000. That's how I started my company. If you know how much we're billing today on a weekly basis, and I've got a biweekly payroll of $750,000, we are making a lot of money. So, Carrie, I can tell you that the US SBA was chasing me every month, every year, especially after the first, second, third year. They were like, Monica, when are you going to apply into the 8A program? By the way, the 8A program is only 9 years for a set-aside requirement with the federal government. I didn't want to waste any years. I wanted my foundation to be set so well. I wanted clearly, and I know you all think about this as well, is you wanted the office set up. You wanted an assistant of some sort. You wanted to ensure you had the benefits all in place. You wanted to ensure key pieces that you wanted to ensure you had the proper license, the proper certification, the office, a telephone line. These are foundation, the insurances to protect yourself, because you're consulting with people and you're only one person. What if someone is irate with the results, or what if someone is upset with the fact that you consulted with them and they didn't like, we followed your master plan and it didn't work? Well, is that your responsibility or them? So there's always got to be disclaimers, and that's why I'm saying put that foundation set extremely well. And believe me, Carrie, the SBA was asking us like by year 2, year 3, and I wasn't ready. I felt I was doing enough work as a subcontractor that it was great, because I was gaining past performance. I was gaining the history of the company. And then at that point, the company earned the secret clearance. Then a couple of years later, the company earned the top secret clearance. Today, we're a top secret cleared company. We're Q cleared for the United States Department of Energy. We're public trust driven. Monday, I go through my DCSA audit, which is the Defense Counter Security Administration, which is the highest level of audit you're going to go through in order for us to maintain our clearances. But these are all the foundational pieces I had to put in place to say, like, oh my God, because I knew extremely well after 14 years of working with the Chickasaw, I saw the small companies coming in. And when they came in, I could tell the ones that were winners and the ones that we were just not going to be able to partner with because they weren't ready. So if you set that foundation extremely well, oh my God, Lava, they're going to hire you. Like, man, that company is sharp. That company is sharp. You might notice today, whether you've got a team of 5 people online this morning, Kathy, or a team of 400 people online. And I have done those presentations for US SBA for their small business forums and platforms. And there has been as many as 500 women online and men as well, Wesley, but who are online wanting to like, how the heck did you do this? I want to respect my audience at all times. So always be prepared, even if it's a Zoom. I don't mind if you're wearing PJs under the desk, but wear the coat and the blazer and say like, I respect you enough to be online with you this morning, sir, and I want to do a presentation on my company. They're going to be so impressed with you from the start. Okay, that's a very good. Take your time, Carrie. It's like building a home. You know, if your foundation is set extremely well, the walls are going to go up nice and straight. You're not going to feel that shakiness and the rhythm of cracks or anything like that in your foundation. Set it well. Any other questions? Yes, Wesley.
So are you personally the qualifying party for most of these? I mean, the 8A, woman owned. So, are you the qualifying party for your company?
Yes, sir. Wesley, to answer your question, yes. So if you take a look at my SAM profile, I am Monica Ohola. I'm the president and 100% owner of Montech Incorporated. And yep, I'm the signature authority for Montech, and it's my responsibility to take care of our personnel across the country. So we're signing the brokers when we're onboarding them. I do have an HR team that do sign many of the offer letters, but when it comes to insuring them, whether it's a 401k or the health insurances, that's my responsibility along with HR.
And so you're a sole proprietorship?
I'm an S corporation.
Okay.
Yes. To also go back to that, Wesley, it took a nice little decade to bill over $15 million. So, you know, we're in our 13th year, and the level of contracts that we do right now, you know, I'm not going to be opposed if the government said, hey, do you mind doing this for, and it could be a $20,000 effort. We'd be like, yeah, absolutely. I'll sign a trainer out there and they'll be out there at White Sands or something. But the goals that we have in mind right now all exceed over $10 million. Right now, we're pursuing hundreds of people versus one person. And that's how we have just grown, and the partnerships we have in place, that we've got these big visions, big dreams. And if you work as hard as Tyler, myself, and everyone up and down the halls, you know good things are going to come from that. We don't win everything, but we absolutely do win. Tyler had a couple of good wins this week, and they were probably in the $4 million range. And they're all remote and they're clear across the country. And HR right now is recruiting them. So it happens every day. It doesn't happen every day that we win. We do get those like, oh, sorry, Montech, you weren't selected for it. It happens. But you know, if you do your happy hunting and you dedicate business development to your schedule as a CEO and the president at least half of the day or at least a quarter of the day, you're going to win. You cannot see something amazing happen if you're not, you know, if you're working as hard as we all are, you know, good stuff will come from it. Okay.
And Lava has her hand raised. Lava can
Yes.
unmute.
I just want to say, first of all, Monica, you're amazing.
thank
You're
you.
very inspirational. I'm like, I'm writing notes over here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be like Monica when I grow up.
Of course. And I know
no,
you can.
That's amazing. But my question is, I've been researching and looking at sam.gov and just trying to get myself familiarized. I met with my Apex advisor a couple days ago, and so my account is in the process of getting verified and approved. So as I'm going through, I'm noticing, like, for lots of film jobs, like you said, I'm actually pretty amazed. I see that some say sources sought, some are accepting proposals. And since I'm coming from the film industry world, I do wonder, like, is there a particular format or template for sources sought, for their cover letters they expect to see, for, you know, we have things called pitch decks. Are they wanting visuals? Is there a template for proposals? I actually don't know, like, what am I expected? What do they expect to see on their side?
Very good. That's a very good question, Lava. And I'm sorry I didn't produce a couple of slides about that. So what Lava has seen is a request for request for information, request for capabilities statement, request. That is stage one where the government is doing their market analysis. So that's stage one. Okay, this is even before the RFP, the request for proposal, comes out. But I'm going to tell you some good news about this. Is we have seen a time or two where, and I'm going to pick one contract for an example that we have, and we just got awarded this in February. The value of the contract is a little bit under $5 million, and it consists of maybe 9 people for Department of Energy. We started off with an RFI. So it was request for information. So what we did on that, Lava, was something similar to this. You kind of put your cover page, and then it starts off with the corporate capability, like the overview. Montech, can you, Tyler, like pull up our overview just for Montech, just so you can get a feel of it? And then within that as well, Lava, then we went into like, clearly you're going to see from the write-up, there's might be a 2-page for request for information. Please tell us who you are. Please tell us where you've done this. Please tell us any special tools that you utilize. And can you insert a video with this? Or can you insert an agenda for this? Can you insert, that 2-page request for information, request for capability, request for that? They're wanting to know what the industry looks like here in Albuquerque. So when we submitted our RFI, I would say about 30 days later, guess what? The contracting officer came back and said, hey, Ms. Hola, we read the request for information. Thank you so much. We're going to send you a RFP in the next 2 weeks. We'd like to do a direct award with Montech Incorporated on a sole source. And they sole sourced the entire contract. So it didn't even hit the streets. It didn't even hit SAM.gov or any of those, because we had all the proper certifications. We had the 8A, we had the Blue Minnow, we had the top secret, we had all those proper pieces, and it all resulted from the RFI. So to answer the question, yes, there is a nice little template, a nice little shell we have in place for RFIs. And then when it's time for an RFP, it goes back to the overview. Who is the company? What are we going to offer? Okay, let's see, for an example, if you can explode that a little bit more, Tyler.
Yes, I can.
Because my eyes are bad. Here's for an example, when we do our RFI or RFPs, here's an introduction to Montech. Can you explode that just a teeny bit more? Because honestly, everyone, I'm telling you, this is what work does to me. My eyes are getting worse every day. So look, here's a nice little snapshot, Lava. This is our introduction for Montech. Montech, a certified U.S. Small Business Administration, 8A, woman-owned small business, and an Indian small business economic enterprise that's known as ISB. Provides cost-effective, efficient admin support services, business support, scientific, program management, information technology for federal, state, and tribal governments and commercial customers. Montech's nationwide footprint. Montech's nationwide federal clients include Department of Energy, NRLFO, JTO, Air Force, Army, AFRL, NOAA, Agriculture, Forest Service, Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, USGS, NWQL. And then the next paragraph, Montech holds the U.S. Department of Energy Q level clearance, cage code 6CT33, currently with over 40 multi-year definitive contracts and task orders in place. Montech recruits for over 90 different labor categories to include security professionals across the country. We strongly believe our employees are the #1 resource of our company, and our success lies in delivering personnel who possess the technical skills and security experience to exceed expectations. I believe we utilize this as a leading paragraph to that sole source that we received in February of this year. So Lava, with that, the company's going to see a couple of things. #1, we're a local resource here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. #2, there's our list of our customers. #3, we're identifying our security clearance so the government doesn't have to worry about that. #4, we've got the proper security clearances and security professionals ready to go on day one. So that's the leading paragraph. For the RFI, Lava, to answer your question, the government will also say no more than 5 pages. No more than 10 pages. They don't want to be reading 30 pages of Montech. They want a nice little snapshot and all the important pieces. And then when it's time for the RFP, those are the ones that we hand in that are probably about 25, 30 pages. And it's our solution. What are we going to do on day 1? What are we going to do on day 30? What are we going to do about transitioning these people? What are all the healthcare pieces that we have in place to take care of our talent? So, you know, I don't want to scare anyone online, and you all are smart people. You wouldn't be on this program with Kathy, but I do want to, you know, we got to do these type of things to earn the work. And you can absolutely do it alone. There's been times, and Tyler knows this, I'll write a paper myself and then I'll hand it over, say, continue. But at least we know the shell of what the government is looking for. At this point, I'm experienced well enough to know what the government's looking for, whether or not it's a good paper or a bad paper. So, you know, study those well. Lava, I'll be more than happy to talk offline with you regarding RFIs and RFPs and RFQs or any of that. Okay? Okay. Any other questions?
I had one question. How do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
get the women-owned small business certification? Is it just something that you do yourself? You say that you are, or do you have to go through a process to be able to put those letters after your or in
Sure.
your introduction?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So remember SBA.gov? Please, everyone, if you have an opportunity sometime today, go off and look at SBA.gov. SBA is the organization that's going to certify you as a woman-owned small business. So there's an actual e-verify process. So you're going to hand in, you know, your minutes, you're going to hand in your company overview, you're going to hand in, and you're attesting that you are the company owner. So there is, SBA will certify you as a woman-owned small business. But keep in mind, Carrie, you can self-certify yourself as a woman WOSB. But if you've got that nice little checkbox by SBA.gov, even more beautiful. You know, they're not going to, now you can, the government is moving more into WOSB set-asides. I just want to share that with you. In the early stages back in 2011, they were, you know, small programs. They were like $5,000-$10,000 efforts. Now, one of my largest clients here in Albuquerque, we've got 30 people for U.S. Department of Energy, National Nuclear Security Administration, security guards, and they're doing patrol, adjudication, badging, escorting, all of those, all that cool stuff that I love. They're doing this for DOE. That was a women-owned small business set aside. So I competed
Wow.
against other women-owned small business companies across the country, and I believe they got 13 offers, and we were number 1. So, and we didn't win that based on price. We won that based on technical. So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on out there for WOSB. Wesley,
Thank you.
sure.
Can you speak a moment about how these are accumulative? I mean, like woman-owned small business, 8A, they're accumulative. I mean, how they point up.
Sure. So do you mean like, I guess I'm trying to better understand your question, Wesley.
So they're each graded by a point. Like if you're a woman-owned small business, you get a 5-point advantage. If you're an 8A, you get a 5-point advantage. So there's also points for being a resident. So really there's a scale where if you meet all these certifications, then you kind of go into the top tier of the companies that get picked first.
So let me tell you, Wesley, this is a really good question, is that if it's set aside as a WOSB and the government puts it out on SAM.gov, and clearly we see women-owned small business, Wesley, your company can't even compete for that. It is intended
Yeah, I can.
primarily, it's intended primarily for women-owned small businesses. That's what I'm saying is when the government puts it out as a WOSB, they're only looking for WOSB. They're not looking for veteran-owned companies. They're not looking for an 8A. They're looking for women-owned small business. and it's clearly definable. And I tell you this because we're on the U.S. Department of Labor statistical guidance for every state that we work in right now. Women are still today earning 60 cents per dollar for all the national work that we're doing. So when you see WOSB or women-owned small business set-asides or it's only intended for women-owned small business companies. So they can increase the women playing in these type of industry markets that we're in right now. And it's not based on a 5-point factor or anything. It doesn't mean it's also open to other companies. Nope, it's WOSB and WOSB only. Okay. Any other questions?
And Monica, and these are great. We touched on the set asides at the very first, so it's all starting to make more and more sense. And I just want to say that I think Apex Accelerator, they can also answer some of these questions, and it is quite a process. But there are people to help you guide that. And we're going to talk about the resources at Arrowhead because we do have some folks on file who might be able to answer questions too. But I wanted to really thank you, Monica. I mean, I saw Monica talk last year at the Women Entrepreneur Conference, and I ran up to her right after and I said, we're going to be holding this procurement sprint. I want people to hear the story because how your company grew, how you utilize, really leverage subcontracting and to grow into this amazing company that is really one of the pride and joys of the state, and employing local folks and keeping our economy going. So I just can't say enough about how I really appreciate your time, and these questions were phenomenal. Please follow Monica on LinkedIn. She's always posting super exciting things. And I really appreciate what you said about networking too, because the relationship piece is very important, and you can find it at a talk given by Sam Donaldson, so thank you for saying those things. Yeah.
Good. Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. My closing remark is this. Kathy Foster invited me perhaps about a month ago. And again, if the audience is 1 or 100 or 200, take every opportunity that is lent upon you. Not to mention you meet some really cool people online, and you continue to brand your company, but take those opportunities for some reason. And there's stronger people on this earth than Monica Hohola. I'm just trying to say this is that there's a reason that Kathy, prompted back to my desk, and I believe in, strong invitations like this. So take those as an opportunity and run with them. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. Okay. That's it, Kathy.
Thank you, Monica.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all.
That was fantastic. So we will be sharing the recording. And then let's go ahead and take, if you're okay, if we could just come back at 10 after, because I do want to cover, we have some technical writing best pieces that we have developed as recipients of several federal awards. So I just want to be able to give some time there. And then, as I said, we're going to wrap up with a follow-on service that Arrowhead Center can offer. And I'm going to actually kind of cheat and show a video because the director of Arrowhead Ventures does a better job explaining, but I really think it's a great way to end our 4-week cohort and then leave you with some additional resources. So I know it's only a 3-minute break. I could go, we could go till maybe 11 after the hour or something. I think we're all in Albuquerque or in New Mexico. So if we want to say 11, 12, 5-minute break, that would be great. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. And I realized I forgot to pause the recording. So once you receive this, just go ahead and feel free to fast forward a few minutes. I just wanted to follow up. Were there any lingering questions from Monica's presentation? I'd be happy to try to answer them. But if not, I think Apex Accelerator is a great resource. And we have other folks who have experience in procurement, but I just wanted to check in with you all, see if there was anything to follow up with. Nope. Okay. So
Kathy,
oh, yes, Wesley.
can you talk a little bit about subcontracting? I know that this seemed like a whole lot to just try to jump off the diving board on your own. But if you can put a smaller capability package together and submit that as a subcontractor, most federal contracts have to have some woman-owned participation or 8A participation as a subcontractor.
Yeah, and based on another talk I heard from Monica at this different conference we were at, that's where she got a lot of that SAM recognition, Carrie, the question you had asked, because of the subcontracting capabilities. So that is a great way to start, is being a subcontractor, because that way you are making relationships with the contractors or these prime contractors, and you'll see different calls for that as well. And I think that's where the networking and relationship piece really comes in. And another great resource is maybe West, and they'll help small businesses regardless of gender. And then Arrowhead Center, we sometimes see some opportunities come through, but it really is trying to build that company, getting your name out there, because it's a small world. I mean, even in this federal procurement world, it's still a small world. So that is something that I think, especially if you're starting out, that's something to really look at. And Ziani, am I saying your name correctly?
I give you 90%. It's actually pronounced Ziani.
Ziani. Okay, thank you for correcting me. It's a beautiful name. Ziani.
Everybody says it that way, so it's okay.
I know we put the emphasis on the I like an E in New Mexico, so yeah.
That's okay. Now I had a question. So maybe I don't know if I wasn't here for this, but is it possible that as business owners here, that we can exchange numbers and information so that we can all stay connected? Yeah.
And are you talking about within the cohort here?
Yeah, since this is our last time together.
Yeah, and I think there have been some communications, and on the invitation, the email, you should be able to access everyone's email. And if and I can put that out to the entire cohort, because not everyone has been able to come to every session, to make sure that that's okay. But I do think that, if nothing else, you all have access to each other's email addresses. And maybe I could just even start something like, if you want to share contact information, reply here, because it really is a good idea. And we've seen this happen in other cohorts where people find similar, opportunities where they can partner. And I think that's what we really want to happen here, is growing your network too. So that's a great idea. So thank you for that suggestion.
No problem.
Okay, this is great. And I do have a very high level PowerPoint about bonding and insuring. I'll just be honest, it's super boring, because it's, and I'm not an expert at it. I just tried to organize some information. I will send the PowerPoint to you, because it's super text heavy. It's something just to have some of those, just overview of, what could be some requirements based on, just information that we've gathered over the time. But really, if you have follow-on questions after you kind of go through that PowerPoint, I'll send it. Let me know. I'm not the expert there, though. These are just some best practices, but maybe I can point you to somebody who could. But I didn't want to include it in the presentation today because I do want to talk about, and this is the other thing, because we can go straight to the writing, but I do want to see, is anyone considering what we call an SBIR STTR, which is a Small Business Innovation Research Grant or a Small Business Technology Transfer Grant? And these are really grants designed to commercialize technology. If that is, and I will send the information, but if that is not what you all are going for, we have a program here called New Mexico Federal and State Technical Assistance, where we provide one-on-one assistance to help you with that SBIR STTR application. And we also offer 12-week cohorts, 4-week cohorts. That grant typically takes about 160 hours, 120 to 160 hours, but we have people on staff to really help guide you through it. We do have a presentation, but it takes a little while. I just wanted to make the best use of our time. And so if there's even 1 or 2 folks, we can quickly go through it, or I'm happy to talk with you offline. Just wanted to kind of take a survey of you all participating here. Okay, so what we'll do, yes, Wesley.
Yes, I'd like to be involved in that.
Okay, let's do the overview. That way we have a recording for the folks who didn't join, and you'll see some of this may help reinforce what we've talked about to date. And, you know, I just want to say, Lava, sometimes the National Institutes of Health, they put out a call for a video, just like Monica was saying. Sometimes we've seen applications, web applications win SBIRs. So it's just, you never know. And Wesley will do a brief overview, and then we will give you the resources to follow up if you are interested in that SBIR STTR. It is actually one of my passions. I've actually been on a writing team for one of those before. I think it's a great way to do your feasibility and product validation. So even though that may not sound like, you know, I don't really know, you know, I don't have the brand new solution for a problem, you know, for DOE, DOD, you may, you know. So let's go ahead and start that overview. I just want to share my screen real quick. And Damien, if you'll help me monitor chat, since I'll be doing some of the talking here, I'd certainly appreciate that. Okay, let me just get this set up. I apologize, I've been having all kinds of fun issues with Zoom today. Can you see my screen where it's showing the slideshow here, the slide deck? If you come off the microphone and say yes, because I don't have the pictures up there hidden from me. So could someone confirm?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so as I said, this is the SBIR STTR program, and really the federal government recognized the need because when you're talking about technology commercialization, some of that takes years and close to decades or more than decades, especially if you think about the mission of the National Institutes of Health. They are there to help improve the lives of human health across the board. So if you're thinking about a new treatment, typically lab to market takes about 17 years. There's a lot that goes on in between. So realizing someone with a promising technology that can help the citizens of the country, the federal government recognized how they could help. And really what you can usually hear that this is the America's Seed Fund, where it gives you some of that R&D support to help move your technologies along. And so this program has grown very competitive in the last few years, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. And as I said, Arrowhead Center, we are funded to help you with the process of applying for an SBIR or STTR grant. So this is for small businesses, and this is really who it's designed for. And so as a small business, you have some rules you have to ensure that you meet here. So you have to be for profit and really are the owning person, the owning application in the company. So you do have to be registered as a small business, and you cannot have more than 500 employees. That's how the federal government is defining it. And really what this is designed for is to further your research and development. We see a lot of folks writing grants to prove feasibility or maybe some product validation. This isn't a grant to really help you do, you know, large equipment purchases or something that's already been developed. Really what the government is looking for is promising technology that maybe wouldn't have you know, a chance otherwise because it might be considered high risk. But this is what the reviewers look at, promising technology that might present a high risk for other investment, and they want to help get you ready for the next step. So you'll hear SBIR, STTR, or, you know, because these are long titles, and, you know, people will say SBIR or STTR as well. The Department of Defense uses that a lot. Now, if you're applying for a small business innovation research grant, and that's what we see a lot of, that you have to take the biggest bulk of the budget. And that typically can be anywhere from $150 to $250 in phase one. But here's the opportunity as a subcontractor. So you can subcontract up to 33% of that budget to have you receive help from an outside source. This can be a quick open and shut project where someone is just helping you with one piece of what you're proposing. And that's what we typically see. Now, if you would like to partner with a research institution, including universities, sometimes there's opportunities for STTR, and that's what's meant by the technology transfer. So the small business can really give some more funding to help with that feasibility study, to look to RIs, research institutions, to try to help with some of the scientific merit and, you know, proof of concept here. So that is really the big difference, is that you can still, you know, subcontract out, but this one really has to be with a research institution. And then you have 30% that can go to your discretion. This is a gated program. So you'll hear oftentimes people say phase one, phase two, there's direct to phase two, there's second phase two, and then phase three. So just basically that phase one is really looking at proof of concept, where you will be funded to really prove out, you know, prove your hypothesis, use some scientific method to prove that technology. And then phase two is a much bigger award, because a lot of people, if they win phase one and then they apply for phase two, that's where those really robust feasibility studies come in, and maybe prototype development. So you're going to have a bigger budget to contract out, maybe with some manufacturing, you know, maybe some other research institutions, if you just want to, you know, give some of the budget to work there. Phase three is when you apply and you do not receive funding, but there is commercialization support. This one is a little bit difficult to deal with, but once you get here, you know, once you're at phase two, you'll start to see maybe some funding from outside investment that really help you get to that phase three. These are the participating agencies, and as you see here, you'll see a lot of these folks maybe release some opportunities on sam.gov, because not only are they releasing, you know, these research type grants, but also some contracting grants to help technologies move along, but they have a very specific thing they're looking for. And so they want to put it out there that, you know, the Department of Defense wants to help the warfighter, but that could mean anything. And so they have something very specific with the contract that they're ready to give approval for. But then, like I said, we've seen some Department of Energy funding opportunity announcements where they have a list of several high need areas where they want problems solved. And so you'll look at some of what they're looking for. And then there's some omnibus or open topic, where at least if you can meet the mission of these agencies, they'll be looking for your technology. And even since we kind of, was getting ready for this week, the National Science Foundation has kind of reworked their system. So I can give you some additional insight there. But I think NSF is a great way to go because they really want to hear what you're proposing. And they have a great process where you give them a proposal, they kind of look at it where it's just a pitch proposal, so it's not as a heavy lift, and then they'll invite you back to submit a full application. So if you are interested in NSF, because they look at all technologies except the medication or medical devices, because those do require human clinical trials. So all other technologies they'd like to take a look at, I would go ahead and say, reach out to us here at Arrowhead, because we can really provide some more opportunity. And we will have a proposal lab coming, so I can send you some information there as well. Just a little bit more on these participating agencies, what they're looking for overall. But like I said, they always have really specific things come up in some funding announcements. The best thing to do, and it's going to kind of, get your inbox, a little bit crowded. If you see an agency where you align your work, sign up for the newsletter. You're going to be the first to hear about what funding opportunity is coming out. You're going to be the first to hear about some things that you might see that you're ready for. And I would sign up for more than one. Really take a look here. And if you have questions on which agencies you can sign up for, we're here to help you with that as well. We talked about these registrations. So not only are they good for your federal procurement when you're just looking to fulfill a contract that might just have the 5 pages and a very specific thing, you're going to need it for these bigger grants as well. And this just provides a little chart here on what you'll need. And once again, we're here to help you. Apex, they're really good at helping with registrations as well. So taking a look at what we're talking about. So we're looking at grants. That's what I'm talking about here, but also that the SBIR STTR program also will solicit opportunities for contracts, and kind of giving you a comparing and contrasting view here. Really, these grants, you set milestones, you need to meet those, you need to tell the reviewers what you're trying to do. Gives you a little more flexibility. But then, like contract, they're telling you exactly what they need. That scope of work is predefined, where here you may have a little more freedom in getting that scope of work done. So the really good trick here is, when you're looking for opportunities, looking at a grant or looking at a contract, really look at what's required and what is being asked for, because if you don't meet the need, I think that Venn diagram Monica showed is a great way to do the exercise there. You don't want to apply for a contract if you're not providing exactly what they're asking for. And please come off mute if you can, because I can't see anybody raising their hand, so feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. So these are the agencies that really focus on those grants, and it's Department of Defense, NASA, Department of Commerce, Homeland Security, Department of Transportation, and the Environmental Protection Agency. So this is for really maybe small businesses who have very well-defined technologies that could meet the solicitation opportunities. There might be another way to subcontract here. And then, Health and Human Services and the Institute of Education, we've seen both contracts and grants be released there. And then the grants, NSF, the DOE, USDA, and the Department of Education really have those grants where you get to define your scope of work, where you want to prove that concept that you have, and then those phased activities all the way from phase 1 to phase 3. This might need some updating, but I just want to let you know some of the money that you would be awarded here. So phase one, like I said, anywhere from 100 to 250,000, and this really goes to that proof of concept. Most of the time, this is spent on your effort. So the research, what you're doing to prove that concept. Phase two is where you're using more funding to maybe hire out, you do some subcontracting, build a prototype, and these phases can have a period of performance, typically called a POP, POP, anywhere from 3 months to a year. Phase two is much longer, but as you see, they have larger awards attached to them. And I just want to let you know what we offer here. You've heard me talk about the New Mexico Federal and State Technology Partnership. It's NMFAST. This is funded from the Small Business Administration, where we are funded to help you with SBIR, STTR proposal development. And we do have these links are live. We have resources on our website. If you're just still trying to maybe see where you belong, there's, what we call quad charts. There's checklists that you can, think about your technology and see if you're the right fit for this. And then at the end, we can share, if you go to our website here, there's a place to schedule an intake call. So if you do have even any inkling about wanting to apply for SBIR, STTR, please go ahead and schedule time with our staff here. They can talk you through some of this and get you, answer your basic questions, suggest maybe some agencies that you would be a right fit for. So just wanted to provide that brief overview, but NMFAST is where you can find detailed information, and Apex Accelerator as well. Any questions? I know that was kind of quick and high level, but I just wanted to see if there were any questions before we went into some of these best practices in technical writing or proposal writing. Yes, Zeke.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I joined a little bit later than I liked. I just had a quick question. One of the points of confusion that we had around the grant writing process, specifically some of the ones under SBIR, is what are the rules as it relates to having ownership of a non-US citizen? So for example, my co-founder, he owns part of the company, but he's not a US citizen. And that was something that wasn't very clearly answered on the website, because we have investment, which means that we technically, the funds and myself, have that north of 50% ownership threshold, but we just weren't sure around that.
And I wish I could provide a clear answer, but I'm going to tell you something that it's going to be based on agency, but that's okay, because the Department of Defense, for example, just released some new regulations around that. So they're offering some workshop, about that. I think that, these are all coming from the federal government, but I would suggest that you reach out to NMFAST, because our team here keeps up with the latest. We have one of my colleagues runs the FAST program, so she'd be happy to talk to you, or I can help you a little bit offline, because an Apex Accelerator, they are a great solution too, because they're keeping up with all those regulations as well.
Got it. I appreciate it. I'll shoot you an email after.
Thank you. I just want to let you know that this proposal writing process was developed by a team of our grant writers here. Arrowhead has successfully been awarded programmatic grants where we, grants like this where we help small business owners. We have grants that help students. We have grants that help faculty. So these are some high-level best practices just to keep in mind as you're going ahead and starting to write some of your proposals. Now, this is a general overview of grant writing. And I know there was a question earlier about templates. I think that's where Apex and other resources can come up. But I just wanted to do some style, and I'm not going to read every bullet point, but I just really want to provide, what we do here and how we can help you. Printing out the solicitation, people are, some people just like to keep it electronically, or if you like to print it out, but this is where you are going to read this back and forth several times, because I guarantee each time you read the solicitation, you'll notice something new. I've gotten out of the habit of printing just because I am trying to save, paper. And so I, get the PDF and I start, highlighting passages. I start making notes to myself. But if you're printing it out, I do the same thing. Now, if you, especially in the SBIR TTR world, or if there's anyone who's identified as a point of contact for that solicitation, make sure you have that information on file. There are ways to contact that person. Each agency has different rules. The solicitation will guide you through that process. This is where you really want to keep updated, because sending, getting on those listservs for the various agencies, you'll see emails that come across that say new process updated. You should be on some mailing lists as you register in SAM, but you just want to make sure you're receiving the most recent updates. Sometimes they can change, most of the time they stay the same. And then you have to identify the agency that you're applying for. So this is really basic information, but sometimes, you're getting, a little overwhelmed with information, just, some checkpoints here. And Monica, she gave I really like the way she presented it. I think if you can design a rubric or a Venn diagram, like she said, but, these government needs, these are what reviewers are looking for. So you have to align what you're proposing with that solicitation, with their mission. So don't try to, fast track it. Really look at the agency, look at the solicitation. They will give you exactly what they're looking for. And if you have questions, go ahead and reach out to those resources that we've talked about. They're looking for that solution or the need, they're looking for a product, they're looking for services. So really be sure to articulate that throughout the proposal. Don't take anything for granted, because you'll spell it out where anyone can understand what you're proposing, and then talk about how you'll deliver it. And this is where you can present a scope of work, a timeline, who you're going to be using to help you. They really want to see how you're going to deliver that solution. I'm not going to go forward with all of this, but the most important piece here, and this is really to be used as a reference, read the solicitation. And, I say at least 4 or 5 times, because I guarantee you will see something that you've missed the first 4 times. And if you are working with anyone, I know a lot of us here are maybe, have just 1 or 2 people on our team, have your team read it as well, because every set of eyes that you can get on that to make sure that you are understanding what they're looking for, that's the most important thing too. Most of the time, write down the questions that you don't think the solicitation has answered. Give it a day or 2, read it again, because you might find the answer there. Zeke, did you have another question? I'm sorry, I see your hand up still. Oh, thank you.
Oops, did not realize I still had it.
That's okay. I did not want to miss your question. Some strategies here. These are just some best practices too, and really, and Carrie, I think, as an attorney, this might come very natural to you, because, really answering questions and providing the argument and persuasion and the proof. This is really key, because you want to make that, what you're proposing and what you can deliver airtight. So think of the reviewer. If there'd be any question in their minds of, I don't think this is really making a case for what we're looking for, make sure that no one can really say that. So really be specific, highlight your points, make it easy for the reader to understand and read. Any type of work or proposals, and as you go forward, especially when you're answering solicitations for funding, if you can frame it in what is called a SMART goal. There are more resources out on the internet. Look for reputable sources. In business school, they hit this hard, and I know in other disciplines of study, but that's really where you can frame your goals to answer these, components here. So specific, you know, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Who are you doing it with? Measurable. This is, you know, a case for metrics. You know, how are you going to track the success of what you're proposing and be able to measure that and show it? Is this attainable and achievable? And I'm not talking about just, you know, the work itself, but with the budget that's provided. That's really something that you want to keep in mind, because reviewers will look and say, this is great, but I don't know if people can do it with the budget we're offering or with the resources that they have available. And then make sure that you are avoiding scope creep, because these reviewers can see that quite often. It's just something to be aware of. Once again, relevant, realistic, and, you know, making sure there's alignment with the proposal, and time bound. And some of these proposals will have that period of performance, but make sure that you can really answer these questions when you start to write your proposal. So this will have, you know, a kind of a sequence to, you know, writing that proposal. And they seem very common sense oriented, and they are, but you know, once you get started on that writing process, you know, it's quite a process. You're writing down what you want to do and how you want to do it, but you also need to follow these guidelines that are presented in the proposal. This is just something that I would keep as a checklist, and maybe as you're reviewing and editing your own work, keep these in mind. Here is some suggestions of some best practices writing for persuasion that we have just put together, some suggestions. And so once again, look at these, decide if this is right for what you'd like to propose for your solution, and really, you know, spend some time thinking. This is really part of the planning process. These next few slides, I guarantee you're going to write, you're going to spend more than one time writing your proposal. Like Monica said, you do not want to have your company out there with something that is not of good quality. So that drafting and revising is a very important piece. I always tell folks to have someone that you trust who maybe isn't as familiar with your product, just to look at the proposal, because if they can understand it, you can think that the reviewers can understand it as well. These are, you know, we had PhDs in rhetoric help provide the principles of the technical writing process. And these are explained in following slides here. And I'm sorry that I'm going a little faster, because I do want to get in our follow-on resources that we can offer. But this slide deck will be shared with you. And then just some style guides, you know, using those positive statements, being very transparent and open about your process. We've all, and you know, this is one of those things where you will probably be reading solicitations that have very long sentences, and they may be difficult to process and interpret, but please do not submit a proposal that way, because you have reviewers who could be reading these, skimming them. They, you know, they might pass. Some reviewers like really want to skim, you know, what's there, seeing those highlighted words, seeing what they're looking for, and then maybe going into a deeper dive of review. It's really that first impression that you want to get out there. And some of that is really being able to have the reviewer or the reader have a pause in their head. So those shorter sentences can really be powerful. Another thing is I've seen a lot, and I've done this a lot, to break up, you know, pages of text and you know, to really get to the point. I really like to use bullet points that are effective. I don't want to just throw them in there just to shorten something that needs to be explained, but when you just need to list something or really put emphasis, I think bullets are a great way to get your ideas across. We have done some research into successful writing and breaking it, you know, we're breaking it down into the steps here. And, you know, we really went over preparation, the research, and that includes, you're already the experts at what you do, but you might want to get some validation there, you know, really organize yourself, put yourself on a schedule. Then you sit down and write, and then revise, edit, revise, edit. So not going through each of these slides, but we have some checkpoints that you can maybe put as a checklist as you're writing here, looking at that preparation, looking at the research, and just some ways to really keep these what we think are common sense points, but have them at your side as you're writing. And once again, looking at the organization, the writing here, and I think the writing, think back in school, those principles still apply. So really having someone to help you or answer questions, look at your writing, maybe they can offer suggestions on how to clarify something. That's something that we find is very powerful as well. That's really where this revision process comes in. This right here is really helpful. I actually go back to it quite a bit. It's where what you're doing when you're editing, and revising kind of gives you the steps and what you're really doing as you're doing it. That's when you're really looking at it as a whole. Like, does this as a whole document make sense? What do I need to change that might add a little more clarity? Then going deeper into that editing, where you're really paying attention, maybe paragraph by paragraph, line by line. You're getting somebody who you trust to look at it as well. And then the copy editing piece comes into style when you're looking at clarity, grammar rules, consistency in voice, and then looking at making sure everything's formatted correctly. And then that proofreading, the final piece there, that's when you're looking at misspellings, maybe your subject verb agreement is off, and excuse me, I didn't mean to mess with that. Just thinking it back about, when you were writing English papers, how you were proofing to get that paper turned in to your teacher the way it looked the best. We have some suggestions here on how to go through that whole process of editing, going through those 4 steps. Once again, this is a great way to check yourself. Keep these suggestions on hand as you're going through the editing process. These are just very high-level forms of evaluation. When you're looking at your proposals and your solicitation announcements, you'll see some additional guidance on how your proposal will be evaluated. But this is looking at the overall writing style, but always go to that solicitation. They will give you the criteria, how you will be scored, how you will be evaluated. And just keep these questions in mind that you want to answer as you're writing, but really double check that you're meeting the evaluation criteria. This just gives you a little bit of reminder. We have seen proposals that have taken weeks, months, not even be reviewed because of an incomplete or late submission. I really like to tell people, no matter what you're doing, if it's a procurement process or a grant submission, please give yourself at least a business day to submit, because things happen. There's anything from someone getting sick, technical issues, weather-related issues that might cause a power outage, you name it. You don't want all that hard work to be for nothing. So really give yourself a deadline where you are submitting the day before it's due. Because if you are doing it electronically, we've seen sometimes things have hiccups. So you might have to call a help desk. You might have to reach out to the submitting party and maybe get some clarification. That's one of the best pieces of advice I can give you. I'm going to go ahead and really, we have 10 minutes left. This is a 15-minute video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to include it in the email, but what I want to do is just tell you basically what we have as Arrowhead Ventures. And Kristen created the video. She really explains it well, just a quick 15-minute video. But since you all went through this, you will be connected to Arrowhead until the end of time. We are here as a constant resource. We, your clients, your clients now, and we have several resources. Kristen highlights that SBIR, STTR support additional sprints that you may be interested in. We have an advisor of network. We have a network of advisors that are at your disposal. They can't give, we have lawyers who can't give legal advice, but they could get you, prepped if you need to talk to a lawyer. We have investors who have some best practices. We have people who are knowledgeable in business development, board development. We're really here to serve small businesses, help the state with economic growth, because New Mexico State University, as a land grant institution, we are here to educate and support all 33 counties in New Mexico. And that includes students, small businesses, and support, helping the state. So please use us as a resource. In the slide, there is a link where you can schedule the intake process. So we have you on the rolls of being assigned with Arrowhead Ventures. But think of us, this is a venture. We're here to support you. We don't, we are a university. We will try to help as much as we can or point you to the correct resources. But I do want to let you know that it's just been a joy having you all here. I've loved the questions that have come in. I think that our presenters really enjoyed interacting with you all, and just know that we are here to answer your questions. And, we have some resources that we could provide. They might just be links, or might be on our website, or might be a program, or might be a relationship. But, there's sometimes we're here to help you with those questions, because it is quite a lift starting a business, but that's what we're here to do. Any questions in these last few minutes? Okay, well, you all have my email address, and I'm a resource for you as well. But I think once you get hooked into Arrowhead Ventures, it's a little more formalized. And if you haven't received any of those follow-up emails, Wesley, I'm going to double check to make sure that that was sent, and I can just send it again, so it's at the top of your email. Those recordings of our sessions will live on our YouTube channel. So you have, if you need to go back to some of that, maybe get clarification on some of those presentations, that is a resource for you as well. And we, a lot of these presentations have been text heavy, but that's because we do want to make sure that you have as much information as possible to refer back to. Yeah, and if you, thank you, Zayani. Did I say it right that time, Zayani?
No, you could call me Z. It's Zayani, but you could call me Z.
Zani, thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm having mental blocks all over the place today. Yeah, feel free to, drop some of your contact information in chat, but we can also, kind of go around and have, if there's deeper contact information you want to share, we can put that out to the group. There will be a follow-up survey. If you have time, please fill that out, because we do want to thank the Minority Business Development Administration of New Mexico for supporting this activity. I saw some of the staff and managers at a conference yesterday and told them, this was a great group and that we've had fantastic presenters. They're a resource for you as well. So,
wait, I have a question. What
yes.
is everybody's business?
I'm sorry?
What is everybody's business?
Oh yeah. Since we have a smaller group and we have a few more minutes, we can just go around the room. Lava, do you want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, I am a co-partner shareholder with my partner. We have a film production company. So we have over 20 years experience working on features and TV shows and documentaries, but now we're launching our own company and running a boutique film production company.
What is it called, Lava?
Raven Crow Entertainment.
Okay.
Wesley, would you like to share a little bit about your company?
So I'm in a new product development and I'm engaged with Arrowhead now on some data reviews that I've collected from the environment. And as those pieces come together, I would like to submit a SBIR grant to the National Science Foundation. I
Perfect.
realize that I have kind of jumped through some of those hoops on my own dime, but putting all that preparation together makes a more convincing and compelling position for the product that I'm bringing.
Fantastic. So yes, please follow up if you haven't already with Melissa and FAST. And if not, I'll send the intake link for NMFAST. Zeke?
Yeah, I'm working with county clerk, Secretary of State's offices on spotting misinformation, disinformation around elections. So we have software that pulls in data from the dark web, social media, and the news, and then we're able to give them heads up if there's threats to election workers, and also if there's any misinformation going around. So we're working with artificial intelligence. So,
Perfect. Yes,
What's the name
definitely
of your
get.
company?
pardon?
What's the name of your company?
Oh, it's Materian AI. I'll put a link to our landing page in the what's it called?
Oh no, I found your website.
Yeah.
Z, did you want to tell us about your business?
Who, me? Yeah,
Yes.
sure. So I am the founder and CEO of my company, Beyond Superior Insurance. And so it is an insurance agency, and we do offer health insurance products for group insurance, individual, commercial side now, and then I'm also going into the government. And so yes, we do that all: Medicare, ACA, dental, vision, right? All the good stuff. Employer insurance.
Fantastic. Great. And then Rebecca.
Hi, yes, first I apologize for being late to this meeting, but I'm a retired college professor from New Mexico Tech, and I'm trying to transition to a business model for some ideas. I currently have a proposal into, it's called the Strategic Environmental Research Development Program. That's a part of the DoD to develop some new methods to degrade the forever compounds, the PFAS. And so we're waiting to hear about that. And in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out all this business stuff. And this has all been very helpful to familiarize me with the vocabulary.
Perfect. Yes. And if you, we do have a commercialization course that provides a very high level overview for researchers trying to provide, commercialization to their research and their technologies. I'd be happy to share that with you. We're actually piloting it with New Mexico Tech because I know there's a lot of researchers there, and that's a whole other conversation about tech transfer and IP and all these things. But I just email me and we can give you, because it does have a few more of those terms that really come in handy when you are trying to commercialize your research. So, all right, we are at 12 noon. I've appreciated all of your involvement and thank you. I know this is a big chunk out of the day and you all are business owners trying to, be the CEOs and make it work. So we do appreciate your time and attention, and look for a follow-up email, and feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.